going to Berkan. He will demonstrate and explain what .NET Aspire is, how it works, and so on. Berkan.
Okay, thank you. Hello everyone, again I'm Berkan, and in this session in my site I will give you a quick introduction to .NET Aspire, and also I will give you show how to create .NET Aspire solution completely from scratch without ABP. So can you share my screen?
Now your screen, I see our faces. Can you check?
Uh, Actually, I share. Okay, now, yeah, that one, I guess.
That one. Okay.
Okay, thank you. First of all, let's get started with what exactly is .NET Aspire. To explain .NET Aspire, I want to open the .NET Aspire overview documentation, and when I open this documentation, I see this definition. Aspire provides tools, templates and packages for building observable production-ready distributed applications. So when I read this sentence, I understand Aspire offers the tools, templates, and also when I create an application with Aspire, this application will be observable, monitorable, and also will be production ready. And also I understand Aspire is more suitable for the distributed applications like microservice solutions, right? And also there is a other good sentence in here. Aspire gives you a unified toolchain, launch and debug your entire application locally with one command, and then deploy anywhere. So normally when we start from scratch with pure or raw ASP.NET Core applications, if this is a distributed application, we should run the all applications one by one. First of all, we should run our services, for example, and then we should run our gateways and applications, and also we should run our dependencies. As you know, nowadays our applications is data intensive, which means for example, our API service depends on the database to persist user records, and also our backend application uses the Redis to provide user records as quickly as possible, and also if this is a distributed application, we may use the distributed message broker and search index and so on. So we should run all these server in locally, right? This is the problem in the development cycle, and Aspire solves this problem basically. And this is also works for the production environment. So you can think about this is the orchestration, and in the orchestration side we can define our services, resources, and their dependencies and configurations. So this is the important because in my opinion, when we talk about the Aspire, there are two important keywords. One of them is orchestration, because when we orchestrate our application, it works on development and also production environment. This is it makes easier our lives, and also there is another keyword that is important. This is the opinionated, which means when we create the Aspire solution, some configurations handled on behalf of us. For example, our application observable because it configures the open telemetry protocols, and also it configures the health check endpoints, some resiliency stuffs, and so on. So this is the opinionated side. And also Aspire offers some integrations. As I said, nowadays our applications data intensive. We are using the Redis, SearchDB, and RabbitMQ and so on. And also Aspire offers these integration packages For example, offers the Redis Aspire Redis package, and these integrations also has own their opinions, because for example, in the Redis package, Aspire Redis package, it configures the some OpenTelemetry stuffs, and also it configures the health check endpoints and so on. So these integrations are also important, and this is basically what is the Aspire. So let's continue with the creation of the solution from scratch with Aspire. To do that, I will use the terminal, but you can use also Visual Studio Code or Rider. I want to use the .NET CLI command line tool because it's unique for all of us. So let's create a new Aspire starter template. But if you want to know other options, other templates, you can write the .NET new list command, and then you can see the all templates listed in here. And I know I will use the Aspire starter template, new Aspire starter, and with Aspire demo name. As an output folder, I want to use the my desktop with this folder. After that, my solution has created. Okay, and I want to open this solution via Rider. Okay, I want to increase the font size. Okay, we can increase. Okay, now I guess it's better. As you can see, there are 4 projects in our solutions. One of them is API service. We can think about like this is a backend of our application, and there is a web application. We can think about this is a front-end side of our application. And normally front-end makes a request to do backend side. This is the normal cycle of this logic. And there are additional 2 projects in our solution now. These comes from the Aspire. One of them is named AppHost. In the AppHost side, we can orchestrate our solution. We can define our services. In our case, this is the API service and web frontend website. And after the adding to these projects, then we can add their dependencies. For example, in this example, front-end side depends on the API service, and also there is a wait for method call in here, which means whenever API service ready, then front-end side try to start. This is a post site. This is the simple application. In real scenario, we may add to many resources like Redis, RabbitMQ, Elasticsearch, and many services and gateways, applications, and so on, because Aspire is more suitable for the distributed applications. And also there is another project in here that comes from the Aspire that named Service Defaults. This is actually is site of the opinionated site, and in this site there is an extension class and there is an extension method. In this method, it configures the OpenTelemetry protocol, health check endpoints, and adds to some resilience stuff. And you can think about this is just a shared class library, and this is web and API service depends on the service defaults to call this extension method. On the other hand, a post has a reference of the API service and web application because it should access these resources to configure them. And normally, when we talk about these kind of distributed applications, you should run the first API service, and then you should run the web application side. But with the Aspire, we can just run the app host projects because this is the
Berkan, can you
orchestration.
increase the font size a little?
Okay.
It's already
better?
good enough, but a little more because we have space.
Okay. I guess.
Okay, it's good now.
better.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And as I said, normally it's enough to run API service and web application. But this is the so simple application. Normally we have many resources, services, and so on. So in this scenario, Aspire, you can just run the app host projects to run all of those things, all of those resources, API service, gateways, and so on. So let's just start this app host application. After that, it's running. Okay, it's running now. And this is the dashboard of the Aspire. Is embedded internally in the app host projects. And when you run the Aspire app host projects, then it first run this dashboard application and then runs your resources. And in this dashboard, we can check the console logs, structured logs, traces, and metrics. We will see in a detailed way in the Halil site. And also, our application now is ready. You can see, and these data comes from our API service. This is the so simple applications. But we will see more complex scenarios in this community talk. So my site is over. Halil, we are on you if you are available.
Thank you, Berkan. As we understand, .NET Aspire is for just how to say define communication between services, how services or infrastructure components depends on each other. So you define this kind of relations. So it understands that you have some services, like 5 services. You need SQL Server, Redis, RabbitMQ, and when you properly configure them, when you run the application, it makes all applications running, and configures the communication probably through some environment variable setting and so on. Then the application and all system works. So it actually focuses on how system designed or architected overall, not doesn't interested how your application code is built, what your application code do, right?
Yes, that's true. When I listen to you, I have another tool. As you know, there is a Kubernetes tool that is so similar with the Aspire, right? But Aspire documentation says Aspire's local development experience is not intended to replace production systems like Kubernetes, but rather provides abstraction that eliminate low-level implementation details during the development.
Okay, we have a communication problem.
We can compare the Kubernetes also.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Another point is .NET Aspire comes with a very simple application startup template. It is almost empty project, right? It doesn't say anything about how to manage your users, roles, how to, like a simple layout, no authentication configured so deep, like not so advanced, and so on. Okay. Now I will share my screen. Yeah. Now I will create a new solution, new microservice solution with ABP Studio with .NET Aspire integration. So we will see what ABP Studio provides on top of .NET, not on top of .NET Aspire actually, it's not built on .NET Aspire, but how it works with .NET Aspire and what ABP Studio provides. And when you create .NET Aspire integrated solution, how to run it, how to monitor your services, and so on. First of all, for those who don't know yet, you can go to the Get Started page and just download ABP Studio from Microsoft Store or download directly from the website. It currently works for Windows and Mac operating systems. So after downloading it, when you run it, it actually checks and installs almost all dependencies. So you don't care about like npm install and other kind of things. Only Kubernetes, only Docker Desktop is necessary for Kubernetes integration. Other tools are installed through the ABP Studio installation. Okay. When you open the ABP Studio tool, you just create an account, log into the ABP Studio, and you see some screen like that. Here, of course, there are some menu items. We will explore them by the time. By the way, we have created the ABP Studio AI support assistant. I forgot to mention about. It comes actually with the latest version. However, it's not available for everyone yet. It will be used by all users by the time. For now, we are exploring it. You know, every application now has an AI chat. Now we also have. So you can ask something about ABP framework development issues. This AI assistant is trained with ABP documentation, all support questions, and some know-how about ABP. So it is supposed to answer better than ChatGPT. You can try in next weeks. Okay, I return to the Solution Explorer side and create a new solution. Here, we talked about these solution templates in previous community talks. Here, we select the microservice startup template and go to the next one. Here, just 1 second. Okay, I will save it here. The solution name can be Aspire Shop. It was something like that. Yes. Okay. Create solution folder. Not necessary. I continue. I select Entity Framework Core here, but we can select another database provider. Or after Entity Framework Core, the startup template has configured to be to work with SQL Server, MySQL, and PostgreSQL. Then we can disable or enable multi-tenancy. In this application, I don't need multi-tenancy, for example. For UI framework, I can go with different options. MVC, Razorpage, Angular, some kind of Blazor, or so. If we want, we can add another application, like a mobile application, to our solution that is connecting to the same backend. So you will have a mobile application from the first day. We can add a landing page, but I will not add now. Dynamic localization enabled. Okay. We can select some modules. Not all modules are necessary here. For example, I can remove GDPR, or we can add however you like. I will remove. Here we select some UI theme. Like we can select Leptonix UI theme, which is default and de facto UI theme for ABP platform. Side menu and theme style, like light. We can continue. The startup template is configured to work with many languages, but if you want, you can just remove some languages or add your own language here. So it will come localization ready from the first day. Here, the new part is we can select .NET Aspire integration. I am, of course, selecting it. In this section, we have some additional options, like if you want to include Grafana dashboard, Kubernetes integration for this application, like social logins, or if you want to write unit tests, you can select. And finally, it says that if you know, this is a microservice solution. Of course, it comes with some predefined microservices, like for authentication, user management, I mean. But you can also add some microservices if you want to add when you're creating your application, like for example, catalog service. We can add many services, of course. If you know all your system, you can add every service. But after creating the solution, we will be already adding, so no problem. It takes a little time because it's not only creating the solution, also prepares our environment to make it easily running, and creating some database migrations for Entity Framework Core, like making npm install, you know, installing client-side libraries and so on. After all tasks finished, everything is ready for start. Now we need to build the application for one time. We make graph build because, you know, maybe with .NET, if you have solutions, like many solutions, depending on each other, when you standard build, it doesn't build the solution. Okay, we have an error. We have a problem with the .NET Aspire host project. Let's try to fix it. I will open with Rider. I'm using Rider generally. Yes, I remember this problem. Since I select the disabled multi-tenancy, it didn't add SaaS module, but the configuration is based on SaaS module. So there is a problem, but it will be easy to fix it.
And also in the newest version of the studio, it fixed it.
Yeah, but I didn't upgrade because, you know, in demo days, I don't upgrade tools. So it's easy to fix. Now I will remove this. After making this change, I can only build this. Okay, it's completed. Now everything is built. Before running the application, I want to mention about the solution structure a little. Here you see the solution root. ABP Studio is an actually architectural solution. When you have multiple .NET solution, you know, if you open one of them, like one of the .NET solutions, you only see the details of this solution. However, in a distributed systems, you may have multiple .NET solutions. So there is no easy way to see all these solutions together, understand their relations, and so on. But with ABP Studio, we solve this problem. Here, we have many solutions, actually, many .NET solutions. Let's open it with Explorer to understand the structure. For example, here in the services catalog service, you see it has a separate .NET solution. Or for audit logging microservice, it is a separate .NET solution, and so on. So with multiple .NET solutions, I can see all here. Here we have two web applications when we create the solution. The first one is the single sign-on authentication servers, which is like standard system for distributed systems. Even you have especially many applications, you want to create an authentication server to apply the single sign-on and an authentication server. Okay, we have a web application here. It's an MVC application. We can, of course, open as an application and see which services and which modules it depends on, and the projects under this solution. Like here, we have Aspire folder with service defaults and app hosts, which comes when you select the .NET Aspire integration, of course, which comes new. Previously, in Microservice template, it was not available. We have a single gateway because of single web application. And we have a few services like administration service to manage system settings and local some like configuration about the system. We have audit logging service, catalog service I added while creating the application, identity service for managing users, roles, their permissions, and so on. And finally, language service to manage our multi-language system, localization, so localization of the application, and so on. So for example, let's open the catalog service in Rider or Visual Studio, whatever you like. You see, when I open the catalog service, I only see three projects related to catalog service. The first one is the main business layer. The second one defines application contracts, so we can share these contracts with other services. And finally, a test application to test our system. So it's, you know, it's properly structured on some best practices and so on. Okay, this is not microservice development training, so I'll skip these details. Now we can go to the solution runner section. Here, the solution runner's purpose, as I said in the beginning of this community talk, to run multiple applications in a system so we can test our services together, use the application UI which communicates to services, and also arrange dependencies on some infrastructure tools. Here you see our system depends on some Docker containers like Grafana, Prometheus, SQL Server, Redis, and so on. We have applications again here like gateways and services. Here we see executable applications. Here we see all the solution. It's a different UI. The default profile, that means solution runner has a profile system. You can configure how to run your system in multiple ways, for example, for different teams in your company or for different purposes. Here, if I select Aspire profile, I see that the only executable application is the app host. You know, in .NET Aspire, you have only one executable application. When you run this application, all the services becomes up and alive and it works. So it is also like that here. Let's start the .NET Aspire application. It will get time because we are first time running the system. As Berkan demonstrated, when we run a post, actually it directly runs the app host. We can double click here to open the user interface. Then a post internally executes other applications. Here there is a security token, or security password. We can enter the default one. Of course, you can change it, but it becomes pre-configured here. You see it's trying to run all the applications. Not every applications are running. Oh, okay. Actually, it's started. All the applications now run. It gets some time normally, but it worked fast. Good. Now, after .NET Aspire running, you see the applications here also seems linked to ABP Studio and worked like externally because it's ABP Studio doesn't run them, but run it externally. Okay, here we see the resources. Resources are like Docker containers or database, even databases running under the database management system, some services, and so on. We can browse all the services. For example, like when we browse the catalog service, we can see some demo because it's just demo empty service. But if we run language management microservice, we see languages, language text, and some API. These are microservices, so they don't have user interface, but just user Swagger UI. Here, let's run the web application actually to see some user interface. Here you see web application. We can click it here or right click here and say browse. In any way we can run it. Sorry. When we run that, we see a welcome page. And here we have a login button. We are redirected to the authentication server application. You see when we create an application with ABP Studio, actually it's like a pre-built application, not only a simple startup empty template. You see we have an example dashboard here. You can, of course, develop it based on your requirements. We have a role management page. We can create some roles here, then set permissions for this role, what they can do, what they cannot do in your system. Save this role, go to the users, create a new user. We can assign role to user and so on. There are many advanced features with the ABP platform's built-in modules. We have OpenID integration to provide the authentication server to other clients. We can add clients as some third-party applications can consume our APIs. We can see audit logs. You see I have created an user. I can see it as details, actions, which is what is sent, what is received, and so on. And the setting system, like I can set configuration about account management, two-factor authentication, email settings, and so on. So I just installed a few modules. If you install more modules, you will see more here. I want to be sure that all permissions granted here. Okay, now all permissions granted, and we also can see language management. We can add more languages or translate text out of on the fly. This is the web application. When we browse the application, it's sending some data to .NET Aspire host application. Because the purpose of .NET Aspire is not only to run application, but also collect some metrics and logs from the application, so you can understand what is happening inside the application. When you have a problem, you can trace the problem and so on. Let's see the details of this .NET Aspire dashboard. In resources, as I said, you can see all resources. When you click here, you can see, I think it's logs. We can view logs, or we can stop the application, for example, or restart. When we make some change, we may want to restart the application. If I click the show details, I can see resource properties, some reference to other services, and also all environment variables. So I can understand that, for example, if an environment variable is set wrong, I can check it here. I can understand what is going wrong, and so on. This is table view, and also there is a graph view. That's an interesting and fancy feature of .NET Aspire. You can see all the components, all the resources actually here. You can understand relations of your resources, which resource depends on what service or database, and so on. You can explore your system in this way. You can filter. Let's see, for example, you can filter and so on. This is, .NET Aspire. You want to say something, Berkan?
Yeah, this is the topology of our solution, right?
Yeah. Okay. When we go to the console tab, now we can see all the logs for the application. For example, let's go to the language management service. Where is this? Language. Okay. So we can see all the HTTP requests and other logs here. If we have an exception, we can understand the problem and so on. Let's make, for example, a change on the UI to see if it comes here. For example, like dashboard text you see. I want to translate from what is now English. Okay.
We can change the target culture name as a English, and then maybe we can see the edited English version.
Now, for example, I want to change not dashboard or overall view. I can save and refresh the page. Now, instead of dashboard, I can see overall view. Here's localization is different. I can also change it, I suppose. Anyway, but simply you can change the text or of your application on the fly. When I come to the logs, I can probably see the request here. It's hard to find now, but okay, no problem. On the structured tabs, I can also see logs in more easy to navigate and explore. Now you see logs, log text. It's not so important. We can go to the trace. So in traces, you see we can see all the happenings in the system and also how they communicate with each other. Like for example, when you make a request to some service, it makes another request and so on. You can see the trace. For example, for language, how can I find? Yeah. Do you know how can I find the request I made to the language service, post request?
Yes, but not in here. I don't know Aspire Traces dashboard, but we can see in the tools site.
Okay, I think I found it. Get request, some get request. You see, web application makes a request to web gateway, and then it makes a request to language text, and we can see logs related to this request and so on. Okay, and finally, we can see some metrics on the system. If I select a service, I can see active request duration, for example, like SQL Server active connections from this resource, .NET assembly count, I don't know. There are many metrics collected through OpenTelemetry protocol, so you can explore your system. So this is what .NET Aspire provides out of the box for your system. You define your resources that are services, databases, some third-party services, and so on. Then it collects metrics, makes your application up and running. Also, as I said, it is integrated with microservice template of ABP Studio. So when we come to overall, actually we see all applications now running. We made many requests. We have some events. No exception until now. Let's create an exception, for example. Simple exception like creating a same role name, for example. It throws an user-friendly exception. And we can see that we have two exceptions here. One is coming from the service and one is from the web application. The same exception, but forwarded. Okay, let's go to the ABP Studio's monitoring capabilities. First, I want to show you that HTTP request, all the happenings in your application or any communication between your services, like any HTTP API communication, is listed here. You see, for example, I tried to create a model. It returns a status code of 403. It's a exception message. I can see all the request details here. Headers, response headers, request message. I tried to create a moderator role, and the response. You see, the response is a role name moderator is already taken message. So I can see all the details of HTTP requests through the ABP Studio built-in monitoring area. Not only HTTP requests, but also events that is sent or received through your message broker, like RabbitMQ in this example. You see, when we create an user, it throws okay, sorry. Created detail. I think it's another event. Yeah. For example, this event is sent from the identity service. That means a user updated. You see, then it can be received from another module to respond to events. So we can see all the received and sent events in the system here. Of course, we can filter, search, and so on. We can see all the exceptions. This is very important because when you have many services, one service calls another service calls one another, and so on. In this communication, if there is an exception occurs, you need to simply and easily see this exception. You don't want to open every log, try to search on text, and so on. So ABP Studio collects all exceptions in a single environment through the ABP Studio Link system. Like it actually has a direct channel between the application and ABP Studio through some client libraries. So you see, identity service application has a identity result exception. The role name is already taken. We can see stack trace. We can see details about this exception, even inner exceptions. If there is another inner exception, it also shows it. This exception thrown from identity service, and actually web application gets this exception and checks, and if there is a problem, it also throws another exception or send another error message to the user interface. So it's the same message as a user-friendly message. So we can see exceptions. We can also see logs, just like .NET Aspire dashboard. For example, let's see language service logs. We can see it can auto-scroll and so on. We can clear logs and so on. Or we can see logs based on, for example, warning. You see, I filtered by warning message. Now I can easily find the warning message, stack trace, and so on. I can easily understand. This is warning, not error, because when you create a new role with the same name, it's not actually a system error. It's a warning to the user. So we can log it as a warning. This is built-in monitoring system. However, in the latest versions of ABP Studio, we also add some tools section here. It's very useful and interesting feature. Let's see what it is. When I open here, I see many dashboards here. They are about the tools or services we have integrated in our microservice solution. For example, I am using Redis here, and in some point I want to see Redis dashboard to understand what are cached, what is cached, if it is working, or I want to clear cache so to solve some problems to understand what is happening. So you want to open somehow Redis dashboard. Since we know that we added this Redis dashboard to the microservice solution template and also configured it so it is available on ABP Studio user interface. So I can, first time I'm opening this page. So you see, I see all the case values and so on. I can remove a cache item, or I can delete all cache items and so on. So this is Redis cache. I can explore Redis cache database and so on. Another UI is RabbitMQ.
Probably there is a cookie problem. You can open with private tab, maybe.
Yeah, there is a problem with cookies we are trying to solve. But if you have this problem, cookie problem is about like in another tab, there is a cookie very long. Actually, it's since it is working in the same local host, it adds same cookie to the local host, and altogether makes very big for the request, and there is a problem. If you have this problem, there is a solution. You can just clear cookies here. But if you do that, of course, you will be logged out from the application. Or you can just create a, hidden window, login from here. Not important. We are working mostly on ABP Studio, but it doesn't mean that the application doesn't work in your computer. Actually, it's just like in your computer. You can copy a URL from here, like in general I am talking, open in your browser and continue using your application as normally. Okay. In RabbitMQ, we can see queries, we can see all the messages, we can see channels, connections, like clients and so on. It's a very complicated dashboard. So if you need, you can explore your quiz and what's happening in RabbitMQ. But in most cases, actually, you can just want to see which message is sent from your application. For example, when user created, there is a message, which service received this message, what happened, and so on. You can actually, it's most of the times necessary. Okay, when I return, we have Prometheus dashboard, we have Kibana. For example, in Grafana, Grafana is a tool to visualize Prometheus logs. In generally, actually, it's used for that. Maybe some other purposes, but in commonly, it's used for that purpose. So here we can see, you see a dashboard here. We can see all the requests, some like endpoint requests. It's a complicated UI actually. We cannot explore everything here, but what message I want to give you, there is, if you want to see Grafana, it's very easy with the ABP Studio. All integrated, you can just access to user interface with one click. Kibana is used to typically show the logs written to Elasticsearch. It's also possible to open the Kibana UI. How I can open,
You can click the menu item in the this one and discover section. This one. And this one.
Okay, it's like that, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
It's matched.
Now we can see all the logs on Kibana UI. I think we can also open this on another browser because the place is limited here because of my resolution. I made it with scale to make it easier for presentation. But normally you can see all the message, you can filter, like Kibana UI. You can see all your logs. How can I? Okay. Filter records and so on. Another UI is Jaeger, which is very popular tool for example, trace requests. You see, for example, let's browse again. Language management, language text. It log out me, probably because of limitation of cookie usage. It's not so important. So I can change a text, and when I go to the trace, now I can see trace, for example. It's just happened. When I click it, I can see that web application made a request to web gateway. It makes a request to administration service. It's about some configuration. It's not about actually this request. But this trace is related to our request. We can see this trace, timing, and details. Probably there are some, there are, we can see details like HTTP response, what happened here, which URL is called, what are the query string. There are many statistics about that. So Jaeger UI actually is an alternative to .NET Aspire's matrix view. Traces view. Traces view. So actually, Traces view is a simplified version of this kind of tools. .NET Aspire provides like simplified versions of this kind of monitoring tools. If you don't need some advanced systems, it will be enough for most cases. But if you need, it's just here. Like it's integrated, it collects all the metrics, traces, and so on. Berkan, you want to say something here?
Also, we can see the system architecture in the Jaeger UI. This is another fancy feature.
System architecture, Here, system architecture is created, as I know, based on the request happened in your system. So it understands from your request that there is a web application. It uses some gateway, calls some services. Then this services makes request to authentication server for validating the authentication tokens and so on. It shows how many requests done in this line and so on. This is another way to explore what is happening in your system. Very good. I don't know. There are many advanced features, but I'm not very expert on this topic. Okay, let's return to our application and stop application with .NET Aspire. As I said, ABP's Solution Runner is actually an alternative tool to .NET Aspire. It also has some similar goals. So if we go to default profile here, then there is no Aspire integration here. It works with ABP Studio's standard Solution Runner. We can run our application here as to demonstrate how it works also. When I run it, it first started all the containers in local Docker, and then it started all the application services and so on in parallel. It will get time as it got time in .NET Aspire. It will have time. In startup, you may see some errors. This is not a problem because in startup, some services make requests, try to read something from database, some communication. And if it fails, no problem, ABP Solution Runner, it will restart it. So finally, eventually, all system will be up and running. But in first run, it gets time because in first run, there is no database. And all services creates their own database on the fly. Let's browse the web application. I will close. It will not work properly until all the services started. Yeah, now it all completely started. We can log in the application. No, the data is not finished, actually. We will need to wait a little more. What do you think?
I don't see. Okay, let's try again.
Okay, now it works. You see, eventually consistency is a native part of microservice development. What's the problem? The problem was the other service was up and running, but still seeding their data to database, so it didn't work. Now it works as expected. We can see roles here. We can assign all permissions. This is one time we need to do. Then we can see audit logs, settings, language management, everything works as expected. So development model for the solution runner we are suggesting is For example, you want to make a development on the catalog service. All you need to do, stop this application, open this in your like IDE, for example, Rider, make your development, then run the application. You can run or debug your system in your IDE as you already do. There is no difference. When you run it, let's see. Now you see it's not running. Now you see when it runs, it also shown as running in ABP Studio immediately in real time. But this time there is an external batch. So it means that you run this service externally. So you cannot stop from here and so on. You should stop from wherever you started it. Okay, in this way you can start all the system in ABP Studio and run the service you need to make some development in your IDE. And they are all interconnected and working together. Still, we can see all the HTTP requests. For example, you see, let's make refresh here to catalog service. We can see this HTTP request here. If there is an exception, logs, or events, we can still see on the Swagger UI, on this service. Or we can also browse it here, like with double click, just, all integrated. Let's go to the, stop the service. Then after all finished, you can start it here. Then maybe make development on other service and so on. It continues like that. It's very simple. There is another option, like for example, you don't want to stop every time and so on. You can right click and set the properties and set here what changes while running. .NET Watch actually it works. So when you do that, if you make any change, for example, there is an API here. What was it? API catalog demo hello. You see it's written as hello words. Let's open the, I think I close it. You see there is a eye icon here. It means that it is watching. Now ABP Studio is watching your service. Let's open this service and make some small development. You see there is a hello world, like updated. I just save the file. I don't need to build or compile again. When I go to ABP Studio, I refresh the page and it didn't work. Why it didn't work? Normally it should watch. What I did wrong?
Maybe it needed a time.
Another service, maybe like control hello world. There is another hello world here. No, there is no. Actually, it should work. I don't know why it didn't work. Let's build it, but build is not working, probably because it's running in ABP Studio. Okay, I don't know why it didn't work.
Actually, on
Let's
the line,
restart
we are
it
using the .NET Watch command.
Yeah, actually, it should work.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you take note? We will check that later.
Okay. Okay.
Now you see updated. We needed to right click and restart. Actually, it should be automatic because of this watch. We will see why it didn't work. Anyway, the development flow is very simple. Actually, .NET Aspire and like Solution Runner part are similar, as I said, and I completed this like my presentation in this point. But I want to show some one more feature of ABP Studio, which is Kubernetes integration. You see, in this way, we can run all the system in our local environment, in our local computer. It works in our operating system. Like that means it listens our port and so on. But also ABP, when you create a new microservice solution, it comes with Kubernetes integration configuration out of the box. Like all the Helm charts, you can see, I can open it actually. When I open it, we can see like Helm charts here. For every service or application, we have charts. Like catalog service, we have a service definition, a pod definition, how to deploy. These are like for experienced users. You should know Helm and how Kubernetes work. But basically, this is all the configuration of your solution. It's a complicated solution, All the Helm configuration is already included, and it is ready to deploy to Kubernetes. So, theoretically, you may have a Kubernetes cluster not in your computer, anywhere, in cloud. You can deploy your solution to Kubernetes in the cloud and make all your system working on this remote computer. And you only run a single service in your local computer and make these two environments communicating and working as a single system. This is a very important feature because when you have hundreds of microservices, even if you can run everything in your system, it will not be easy because your memory is limited, your CPU is limited, it will consume your resources and your computer starts to get slower. So best to run all the system in Kubernetes because it does very well what it does. It's for that purpose. And run the service you only want to make development in your local environment. To do that, let's go to the Kubernetes tab. As a first step, I will need to build Docker images. For this default configuration, it runs with Docker images and also local Docker desktop Kubernetes cluster. However, it's possible to change some configuration and make it working in Azure or some cloud provider Kubernetes cluster. Let's make a demonstration how it builds, how we will install this system to Kubernetes and make it working under Kubernetes. There is a tool named kubectl that shows all the resources in Kubernetes. Now I write kubectl, get all resources, all objects in .NET Aspire Shop local environment. This is our solution and profile name combined. You see, there is no resource found in this namespace yet. That means it's not deployed to my Docker or Kubernetes cluster yet. If I open Docker desktop, I also see that there is no container deployed yet. So let's go to the root element and select install short. It's very fast. In a few seconds, it will be finished. Like 2 seconds, you see, it's finished. By the way, I'm sometimes checking background tasks of ABP Studio to see what's happening, but you don't have to, of course. Now, I can rerun the same command, and I can see that some services, pods are running or trying to run. Some of them are not ready yet, but Kubernetes make them up and running. It will get maybe 1 minute in total, but all the services are deployed to Kubernetes now. Let's refresh a little and give it some time so it makes all running. Only web applications is waiting, you see. It's actually running faster in Kubernetes compared to our local environment and consumes less system resources. Now, web application is also running, so it's possible to browse the application. To browse the application, we have some options. It's already running actually. It's even if I close ABP Studio, doesn't matter. It's already running in our local Kubernetes environment. Let's aspire shop local web. Let's browse the application. I browse the application with, solution name, profile name, and this is the application name. If I want to browse catalog service, I cannot browse because catalog service is not exposed out of cluster. We will see how to do it yet. But I can see web application. I can see web gateway, for example. It's also exposed to out of cluster. For web application, I can log in the application. I can feel that it is running faster, actually. I can see the application UI, role management. Everything works now in Kubernetes. Okay. We see that ABP Studio can easily deploy our entire solution to Kubernetes, including SQL Server, Redis, every tools, and so on. Let's do something interesting. And first, I want to clear all the dashboard. So I want to see that everything is coming from Kubernetes. Now you see language management is not browsable in localhost because it's not working. Let's go to the Kubernetes tab and select the connect button. Okay, this connect button creates a VPN tunnel between your local development environment and the target Kubernetes cluster. This is an interesting feature. After that tunnel, connection, we can be able to browse all the internal services running in Kubernetes. We can even connect to RabbitMQ, SQL Server, and other internal services that are normally not exposed to out of the cluster, For the first connection, it takes time, maybe 1 minute. But after that, it will be faster if you disconnect and reconnect. Okay, it's all done. After that, we can see all the services here. These are matched to, all the services here are also listed here. I can right-click a service and select browse. Of course, when I do that, I can see the same application. I can log in the application that is running in Kubernetes yet. Okay. But when I connect, I can, as I said, even browse the catalog module, microservice. So I can call catalog service and so on. As I said, it's not exposed out of cluster. I can connect SQL Server from my management studio, open Kibana UI, for example, that is running in SQL Server. Even in the tools, we can also see that Prometheus, Kibana, Grafana is available here. We will add missing tools.
Problem.
Yeah, there is no cookie problem in this time because it's running in another, domain. So no problem. But still, even everything is running in Kubernetes. Just like in local environment, I can collect all the metrics like HTTP requests, events, exceptions, logs, some kind of logs, and so on. So this is not available in the .NET Aspire, for example. .NET Aspire works and runs everything in local environment, and it can just get information from this local environment. But now everything is working in Kubernetes, but I can just connect it and see everything just like in my local environment. But it didn't finish actually. I can, if I want to develop for example, catalog service here, I can right-click and enable interception. When I do that, all the requests to the catalog microservice is forwarded to my local development environment. And I can run and debug or develop, test everything locally for this only for catalog service. All other services will continue to run in Kubernetes, and these services can communicate just like they are working in same computer. So this is the power of Kubernetes integration of ABP Studio, but I will not make demonstration. We talked about that in previous ABP community talks. I will disable the connection here. If I don't want to make development, and if I finish it, I can uninstall Helm charts from Kubernetes. When I do that, you will see they are all terminating. It will get a little time, but finally, all the application services will be deleted from Kubernetes and so on. So it will be clean environment. Finally, I want to show that one ABP Studio feature. Like, ABP Studio is not only for running. Actually, the main purpose is architecting solutions. When you create a new microservice solution, you probably want to add new microservices, new gateways, new applications, connect these applications together, and so on. So as an example, I can right-click to services folder, or I can click anywhere, actually. In this new module, I can create a microservice. Like, for example, ordering service. When I do that, I can select like Entity Framework, Core, SQL Server again. I can include unit tests, make some integration, which is very important and normally hard to do. If you develop a distributed solution, create another service. You need to configure authentication for this new service. You need to probably configure your API gateway to redirect requests to this new microservice, and so on. So you need to, if you are using Helm charts, you need to add Helm charts. Docker configuration also should be updated. Everything is automatically done by the ABP Studio. When you add a new service, you see it comes here. When I go to the solution runner, it comes here. Even .NET Aspire profile, it will be available, right? It's not available now, but it will be. Is it available? I cannot see it. Should I refresh it or somehow?
Yeah, we can refresh.
Yeah. It was not open, so I just need to refresh. Okay. Anyway, but Kubernetes configuration, Helm chart for this no ordering comes here. I can open the ordering service in this time. Let's open with old friend Visual Studio. You can see same structure is applied here. We have a demo controller. Of course, in this point, you will create entities. You will arrange your DB context, which is actually coming as an empty, almost empty DB context. You need to add your services, DTOs, and so on. And this system is also in ABP framework. ABP framework provides infrastructure to create your application too, which is not also available in .NET Aspire, and it's not a goal of .NET Aspire actually. So when I get some kind of questions, I generally say that for some features there are some similarities between .NET Aspire, but they have actually totally different goals. Okay, I'm closing the solution. For my demonstration, it is finished actually. I can, close that. And I have some notes about future development, like a roadmap of this system or what is working. We are working on. Now we are working on two things to complete this .NET Aspire integration. The first one is, in some cases, PostgreSQL or Redis or some services doesn't send metrics to trace and metrics windows. So that means if your service makes a SQL Server call, you cannot see what this SQL Server call was, how many seconds it happened, and so on. We are working on the ABP framework, anti-framework integration to make also collect this open telemetry data and integrate it to ABP Studio and other telemetry services. One thing we are working on that it's not so hard actually. In a few months it will be in production, as I suppose. Another thing we are working on is not directly related on .NET Aspire, but related to metrics and traces we have demonstrated. We are adding similar configuration, OpenTelemetry integration to our other startup templates too, like layered startup template and single layer startup template. So that was like that. We can continue with questions, I think. Did you select questions, guys? Or I select?
Yeah, you can select. I saw this one. I think it's a comment.
I feel like Aspire is trying to replace Docker Compose and make your life easier instead of writing YAML files. What do you think? Berkan, you can answer this.
While learning the Aspire, I compared the Aspire with the Kubernetes actually, but it's wrong because Kubernetes is an industry standard and has many capabilities. On the other hand, Aspire enhancing focuses on the development side rather than a production side. So we cannot compare the Kubernetes and also Docker Compose, but many people compares to this Aspire and Docker Compose and also Aspire versus Kubernetes. Yeah.
Okay, I can select the questions, Irem, from that point.
Okay.
Do you plan to integrate a performance testing? Actually, performance testing or load testing is not in our goals. There are some tools that are doing that. Maybe we made some integration with known tools, but for now, no. When we are getting ABP Studio for Linux, what do you think, Berkan? What are the problems about supporting Linux? Do you know?
Actually, we are using the Avalon UI and in the Studio side, and also Avalon is a cross-platform, so it should work as expected in the Linux side. But as you know, deployment publish cases problem. For example, we can publish the Windows, and also we are maintaining the macOS publishes files. On the other hand, Linux we can support in the future, but now it's not supported.
Actually, from the first day we wanted to support 3 operating systems, but to be honest, we had troubles by Linux deployment. Small problems what we couldn't solve, and we didn't want to lose time because of.
Actually.
Yeah. You say not so much users. Yeah, there are many distributions, and it's testing it also a problem. Yunus Emre, which is one of the developer team of ABP Studio, writes that .NET Watch didn't work because you didn't restart. Yeah, you are right. Because .NET Watch starts on the beginning and we didn't restart it. You are right. So it's our fault, not ABP Studios. Another question, is it possible to debug from Visual Studio while Aspire Studio is running, or can I not debug if I use Aspire? When you use ABP Studio, you can definitely debug, or even if you run your service in Kubernetes, it's possible to debug. For Aspire, maybe Berkan, you can answer. I didn't try to do this.
It's same. Everything it works as expected. Yeah, it's same.
How it works? You stop one service and run it.
Yeah, we can stop the related service in the dashboard of the Aspire. Then we can run the related service in our local IDE, and then we can run.
So it's possible to individually run the service and debug it. Great. Debugging in a modular monolith is I don't know, maybe we write an article if this is requested, but for community talk, it's a small topic because it's 5 minutes, not so hard, but there are some tricks. Yes, you are right. Any more question? This question already asked. Do you have a plan to automate upgrades operation between ABP versions like Angular doing? No, actually, we don't have any plan. Like, you mean Angular schematics? When you it changes your code. It's very advanced. Even .NET has not a system like that. And actually, we don't make breaking changes in minor versions, but in major versions, for example, in this ABP 10, actually, most of the migration points is related to .NET migration. It's not about ABP migration. So I think we should ask this question to .NET team. Okay. Yeah, another team member from ABP Studio. So he writes a comment. Actually, questions are over, as I see.